Welcome back to the Bookworm Woodmakers channel. Thank God 2022 is behind me. It was a mess, as I'm sure it was for a lot of you. Had my surgery, but I think it's failed. Don't know that yet. But good grief, I turned 60 this year. Wow, that's a milestone in itself. But anyways, we're not here to talk about complaints and everything else. We're here to talk about making something out of a book. And I don't mean taking a book and making something with that book. Christmas arrived, and it was beautiful because I got more tools, got a couple new books, learned a little bit more skill. And one of the books I'm really excited to show you is Make Your Own Cutting Boards by David Picciuto. See if you guys can read that there. All right. Now, I have been following David on YouTube back when he was known as the Drunken Woodworker. And I bought a few of his products, his digital products online. And wow, it was a good investment. I really made some serious stuff. And I want to talk about David's book because this isn't the only book he has. He actually has two other ones, so it's a total of 3 books that he has. They're available on Amazon or through David's website. I have 2 of them. I'm sorry, my fingers aren't working today. I have 2 of them. I have the cutting board book and I have the bandsaw book, which I'm really excited to try, and I'll feature that book sometime this year. But in a lot of my woodworking books, not all of them, but in a lot of them, there are steps that are left out in a lot of the construction, and you kind of have to learn how to, in John Malecki's words, fabricable something together to make it work. With David's book, you don't have to worry about that at all. He actually has a whole complete chapter on how to finish a board. I would definitely recommend that you read that chapter before you begin to build whatever cutting board that you have in here. One of the issues I did have with David's book was which one to build first, which one to actually show, because all of his cutting boards in there are just absolutely beautiful, very simple to make to very advanced to make. But by following his instructions, you'll be able to make it. And because this was Christmas, and I do have scrap wood available, well, let me rephrase that. Wood that's yet to be used. Okay, I have some maple and I have some walnut. There is a beautiful cutting board in there that is an end grain cutting board that I'm going to make today. So, with that, let's jump right into it. Well, it's been a couple weeks. This has been in the clamps drying. The weather's been below 30, and I don't operate any equipment in the 30s with no heat around. So now we're almost in the 50s, and the weather's looking good. So she's out of the clamps. The next thing I need to do is plane her down. Then I need to square up one end, and then I can start cutting the strips. So stay tuned to that. All the glue marks are off, and as you can see probably with the camera there, I've got a few gaps here, which right now doesn't make too much of a big deal because I'll be cutting these this way. If I was going to present this way as a cutting board finished, then I would fill in those gaps with sawdust and glue. So now let's check to see if it is level. Well, that's done. Woo! Gotta love sawdust. It's man glitter. Let me rephrase that. It's woodworker's glitter. Alright, let's square up one edge of this with the chop saw. And then we can go inside and start cutting strips. So, in case if you were wondering how long this is 14 inches, and unfortunately I didn't do my math before I did this to see if I have enough strips to actually make the full-size cutting board as in David Picciuto's book. I know of all things, David says, don't stick to my plans, use your own creativity. That's what I love about David. He's always having you test your own boundaries. However, for the sake of evaluating and reviewing the book, I kind of want to do it exactly like he did it. All right, so the next thing we need to do is cut strips, and we'll see if we have enough or if we got to make more. All right, all the pieces are cut so far. Here's our waste material. Put that over there for right now. Now, in the book, David says to cut 12 blocks long and 5 blocks across. So I glued up 5 blocks here, and the 12 blocks by 5 blocks is going to be the outer perimeter of it. So let's see if I got enough, or if I have to glue up and make some more. Well, I'll tell you what, this is looking gorgeous already. A lot of woodworkers don't like to do end grain cutting boards because of the work that it entails. So, all right, so now we've got one of the 12 blocks behind this and one of the 12 blocks there. So we're supposed to have 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We only got 7. So what we need to do is we need to cut up more blocks, glue them together, and take it from there. So this is only 7 here. We need to do 3 more. Thank you so much, Brian. I greatly appreciate it. All right? All right. Bye. So, in the immortal words of David, sand in the place that you live. So, sanding is completed. Thing's heavy. I didn't want to bore you with going through all the sanding process. There's a plethora of YouTube videos out there to show you how to sand a cutting board. But in an essence, I started off with 60 grit, went to 80 grit, went to 100 grit, then did 120. Then I did a dunk in the water to pop the grain. What that does is it raises the fibers of the cutting board, and then I let that dry, and the fibers are still raised, so it was a very rough cutting board surface. Then I took 120 and just resanded it over again, and now it's baby smooth. So the next step in the process is to actually oil the board. Now, I'm not set up to do mass production here, so I'm going to do it the old-fashioned way with a little bit of butcher's block conditioner. Now, it looks like I'm pouring a lot on here, but end grain is a very thirsty board. And that'll just suck that right up. Well, that project's finally finished. There's a few details I left out because, as I said before, there's a plethora of cutting board videos out there for you to follow along. But David's book gives those individuals, such as like myself, the step-by-step on how to create and come up with masterpieces. Now, I started this project in January. It is now Memorial Day weekend, and I completed it. Not because the task was so difficult, but because there's other things that happened in my other businesses, such as a major accident, January 12th, 4 o'clock in the morning in Kentucky on I-71. Fortunately, nobody was injured in the accident, but my big box truck has been in the shop since then, and I'm kind of hoping to get it back in June. So that's like 6 months of waiting for my truck. Meanwhile, I've been having to scramble for various different vehicles to continue my business. But that set aside, the one thing I'm going to warn you about David's book, and I guess this is the best warning I can give you, is it's extremely addicting. Yes, David's book is extremely addicting. Matter of fact, if you have access to a laser cutter or a laser printer, you can actually put in beautiful designs. And if you want to know more about putting in these type of designs, there's a couple called Jenny and Davis on YouTube that have a table company, but they built it by making cutting boards. These are, I wouldn't say chaotic, but they are kind of a mishmash of boards, and these are basically from other cutting boards that I've made, and something was wrong with them that I didn't have the experience to correct, so I just mashed them together and came up with different designs. I really like this one. But there she is, the design that I chose out of David's book, and I just absolutely love it. I could put feet in it or not, or handles. I don't know. I haven't really made up my mind. So, this wraps up a chapter in the Bookworm Woodmakers channel. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed making these, but I am really addicted to making cutting boards now. So, fair warning, when you get David's book, you may get as addicted as making cutting boards as I have. So, I want to thank David for producing this beautiful book. Again, his name is David Picciuto, and his channel is called Make Something, and it's on YouTube, and he is a fascinating guy to watch and to follow. Some of the stuff that he comes up with is just mind-blowing. So, as usual, stay safe, stay blessed. This is Jeff with the Bookworm Woodmakers channel.